So let me ask you this question. You own companies, you find good companies to buy, whether it's a franchise or it's a SMB or something like that. You're buying them either on available cash flow, you're buying them in EBITDA, you're doing something like that. You don't want to run them. Warren Buffett, this is how he did make his money. He didn't run around buying companies that needed massive operational transformation. He bought them because he liked the people there and he said, go, keep doing it. This is what you're doing. And what advice do you have for people when they're trying to identify something like this? How do you know that leadership team is the right one? How do you know they're not going to bail on you and now you're just stuck holding the bag? What's your formula for that?
It's interesting. When I think about the mistake I made on real estate is I tried to do my own thing without paying attention to the other clues that other people leave behind. And the moment I shifted from doing my own thing to following someone else's blueprint, everything changed because I don't know that I'm smart enough in the way where I'm going to figure all this stuff out, but I'm pretty smart in recognizing that someone else has done it. And if they can do it, I believe I can do it if I have the same playbook. And so it's figuring out who those people are and then, figure out businesses. So learning that skill set and then finding those businesses that do it. So, from a tactical standpoint, part of it is, hey, I think this team's good. I can use personality assessments to figure out, are they in the right seats at least? Some of these behavioral assessments will let you know that they kind of have their bandwidth for what it takes to figure something out is pretty large or it's short. So you kind of have an idea, are they going to make it? And I think hiring to some of these roles based on formulas that, some of these assessment companies have, they've kind of figured a lot of it out. And then realizing that you're probably never going to get it all right. So I've bought companies, I bought them in full or I bought pieces of them where I've been maybe a minority equity holder or a majority equity holder, or I just buy the whole company. And we've had instances where the teams have worked out great, and we've had instances where the teams were a total train wreck. We had an instance where we bought a company and everyone on the team quit. Yeah. So that was problematic, and we did not foresee that. But we also recognize that there's a solution to everything. And it was interesting because we brought in people, we're like, there's no way we're going to be able to, the company just went off a cliff when we lost everyone. We're like, we're never going to be able to replace that type of team. And then the next people that we got in ended up being even better, and we outperformed what that last company did. So it's really funny how it works, and you just have to be willing to pivot and talk to people that have been in that situation before, get some advice, try and copy people that have been there, have done that, so that way you can do it without making the mistakes. But inevitably, you're going to make mistakes. And I also think that for me, at least, and I think for most people, but most certainly for me, I learn the best with mistakes. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish I learned so well when everything goes well, but I don't. I learn because it didn't work, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I have to figure this out. Otherwise, this business is going to implode. And that's really where I have been able to learn and grow the most.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention. They say that. So what I find interesting too about this is that you have this paradox in your message. And if a person is listening the wrong way, they're hearing it as a contradiction when it is not. These two ideas work so harmoniously together, but they are seemingly contradictory. And that is that you help investors really reduce risk. You're like, listen, if we're going to do this sort of thing, we're going to do every single thing we can to not lose money. Yet, at the same time, you're fully aware that it can happen. But I think what separates you from a lot of people that don't do this is you just say, if that time comes, we're going to solve it. We're going to solve it. And then it's going to be better when we do that. And if it's not, we're going to learn something and we're going to go do something more later on. And I think that's a big deal. Okay, so here's one. I'm still the avatar of before. And, my wife is just afraid of the risk. And I don't know if I can do that to my kids. How do I find something that I can do that allows me to taste the opportunity for making some sort of a move, but doesn't put everyone in danger? What are your thoughts on that? Because this is coming too.
That avatar is my wife, and So where I probably would have just want to like cut things and move on and, go, 2 feet into something, just dive right in. I also recognize that there's just a beauty in the security or the safety in that's, if your spouse has this, if this is important to them, where life doesn't change. It's not like we're taking so many risks that all of a sudden the money stops. Yeah. And so for us, we just really did it by buying one property at a time. We bought a property at a price that we knew it would be really hard to lose money on long term. Like even if things didn't work, we could sell it for at least what we paid, but probably more than what we paid. So that felt really good. We did the first deal we ever did was a seller finance note. So I didn't even have to get lending. He carried the note. It was non-recourse. So if it didn't work, he couldn't come after me for any of my assets, right? He could only take that property back. So I guess my total risk was the down payment that I put down. But I also figured out that it wouldn't take me that long to make that down payment back. So, depending on the cash on cash return, and for me, in that first deal, my cash on cash return was over 50%. I think it was 54%. So in 2 years, I had my down payment back. And that's because I bought it so under market. And I bought it, at a good interest rate with the seller finance note. So my wife felt really good, even though she was nervous, even though she thought I was crazy. And all the time she's like, are you sure we should do this? Like, is this a good move? Is this us being wise with our finances? Are we being good stewards of this money that we've been entrusted with? We decided that would work, because if it didn't, it wouldn't. Like, we wouldn't be in financial turmoil if it didn't work. But if it did work, we could just take another bite out of that apple. We could just, take another page out of that playbook and do it again. And that's what we did. It was just a rinse and repeat. We bought one, we bought another one. The next year we bought another one, so on and so forth. And basically, over the last, 15 years, we bought on average one or more pieces of real estate a year.